As women in perimenopause and beyond, one of the biggest focuses many of us have is on our spine. We want to keep a healthy spine, we want to prevent osteoporosis, but we don't really know how to do that. One of the ways you can help your spinal health is by doing pulling exercises. The problem is there's not a lot of body weight pulling exercises beyond pull-ups, and let's be honest, not a lot of women can do that without any sort of prior training. Here are 4 exercises that can help your spine health without having to do those really hard pull-ups. We'll start on the ground, on your belly, face down. If you need some protection with a yoga mat or anything like that, absolutely grab them. We're going all the way down to the ground, and I want you to take your hands by your hips. Now your toes can either be facing straight down or curled under, but I want you to keep those feet grounded. Don't lift them up. From here, we're just going to lift our chest up in the air and then go back down. What we're doing is we are pulling away from the floor and activating the muscles that go up and down the spine, called the Erector Spinae. And this is helping our spine, it's helping the muscles, and will also help your posture, believe it or not. So this is a safe movement to do for most people. Of course, if you've had a physician tell you not to, then listen to them, not to me. I recommend starting with about 10 reps of those before progressing. From there, we are going to go to our hands and knees. Curl your toes down to anchor yourself, and then contract those abdominals without tucking your hips. So you want a neutral spine with this, meaning that you will have a little bit of a curve in the back, because that's what our spine does. But absolutely contract those abdominals. Start with just raising one hand and then coming back down, and then you can do the other one. We are trying to keep your hips as steady as possible as you do that. And then you can add on with doing our leg and our hand, coming in nice and slowly. The secret sauce to this one is moving as slowly as possible, and then bringing that in. I like to recommend starting with about 10 on each side, which does not go by quickly because we are moving very slowly. Imagine you've got maybe like a glass of water or something on that sacrum, and we don't want it tipping. This is something I'm still working on. So if you hear me saying that and you're like, but her hips are moving, I know, I'm working on it. We're all works in progress, right? But this is another great one to help support your spine and to strengthen those muscles. The next movement is actually going to be done with a loop. I call these loops, some people call them resistance bands. You can get them on Amazon. They're really cheap, in about a 5-pack. Maybe you get them, maybe you have some actually from physical therapy. With these, we're just going to put our hands straight through it, and then I want you to have some neutral wrists. We're going to be talking about this one in the wrist strengthening video, which will be coming up next. But your hands are through that loop right at shoulder height. Again, shoulders back and down, and bend your elbows, pulling them back, squeeze the muscles around your spine. I want you to imagine giving your spine a hug with your muscles, pulling them back, and watch those wrists. I'll give you a little sneak peek into our wrist movement, but our wrists are real important. So it's real easy for people to start kind of breaking, what we call breaking wrists in the cheer world. Not that I've really ever been into that, but you want to have a nice neutral wrist and then releasing. And just like the bird dog and the floor prone Cobra, about 10 reps of those, see how it feels. You can always increase your resistance or decrease your resistance. You can always adjust your reps. Make it work for you, start slow and progress from there. Finally, we get to one of my favorite types of movement for women in perimenopause and beyond, and that is doing some pulls, but with resistance bands. These are my favorite resistance bands because they are really customizable and they're pretty inexpensive as well on Amazon. I will put the link of the ones that I like down below, but this you can do a lot of different things with, but I'm just going to start with kind of a basic one. Go down to one knee and one foot, and then we're going to kind of tuck those hips again because I don't want us arching our back. So keeping a neutral spine. So we're not going all the way under, but we're just kind of tucking them enough to prevent that lordosis, that anterior tilt. From here, take your hands about shoulder width apart and your palms are facing down. Bend your elbows and pull those elbows back. Your hands are still out. So we're not pulling them into our shoulders, but I want them out. If you like American football, then I want you to envision that you are creating some goalposts with your hands. So I will face you so you can see when you pull back, you're coming here and not here. Here, you're just going to be getting your back a lot better if you're here. Now, with these pulls, you can get all kinds of creative with this, and you can do your palms down. You can bring your palms in and keep your elbows in. That too is a great pulling motion, and it's going to be working some different muscles. So play around with your palm positioning and where your elbows go, and notice the difference. Notice how it feels different in your back as you pull back. But those 4 exercises are a great start to strengthening the muscles around your spine, which will help your spine health. And if you want to know more about strength training essentials for women in perimenopause and beyond, stay tuned for the next video focusing on our wrist health, because we don't want to fall and break our wrists.